All right, last question.
Congressman Issa came out and said that both Chairman Jordan and Comer were not able to present anything that was an impeachable offense at this point. Is that an assessment that you share?
You know, impeachment inquiry is not impeachment. So what impeachment inquiry is to do is to get answers to questions. Are you concerned about all the stuff that was just recently learned? Do you have any concern? Have you asked the White House any questions?
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe the president lied to the American public when he said he'd never talked to his son about business dealings? Yes or no? It's all right. You can't answer that? Do you believe when they said the president went on conference calls? Do you believe that happened?
That's what the testimony
Okay.
says.
Do you believe the president went to Cafe Milano and had dinner with the clients of Hunter Biden, who believes he got those clients because he was selling the brand?
That's what the testimony
Okay. Do you believe Hunter Biden, when you saw the video of him driving a Porsche, that he got $143,000 to buy that Porsche the next day? Do you believe the $3 million from the Russian oligarch that was transferred to the shell companies that the Bidens controlled after the dinner from Cafe Milano took place?
for the testimony.
Okay, then I go back. Do you think the president lied that when he
Is that
said
an impeachable? Is lying an impeachable?
Well, you want to know. I'm not saying impeachment. All I'm saying is I would like to know answers to these questions. The American public would like to know, and that's what impeachment inquiry provides.
As to the quality of the evidence, though, I just have to say, I mean, we do have bank records, devices, laptops, travel records, changes in administration policy. Seems like pretty strong evidence to me.
None of which links President Biden to.
Well, it was Joe Biden on the phone.
None of which.
He was calling into the meetings. Wait, Abby, are you actually trying to tell your viewers that you don't believe that Joe Biden was involved in Hunter Biden's business deals?
It's not
a
about
hard case.
It's not about what I believe. It's about whether there is evidence that President Biden is linked to the misdeeds that might be linked to Hunter Biden. That's the issue. But I want to get back. I do want to.
Come on. Wait, hold on. Can you just acknowledge that when he calls into the business deals that he's involved?
This is
when
not,
he calls into the dinners,
is not about,
you don't think that's involvement?
No. Stop that. Stop hitting me with all these facts. Stop. I can't. Please. This is my first day on the job. I can't. Please. Gang, it's all unraveling. The Biden regime is actually crumbling right before our very eyes. And we've got the legacy media absolutely panicking over it. They don't know what to do. You can see it. They literally don't know how to answer when confronted with the most obvious of questions, like both McCarthy and Gates were just doing there. I mean, think about it. The legacy media is actually trying to convince their rapidly dwindling audience that Joe Biden involving himself in Hunter's illicit business dealings does not mean that Biden involved himself in Hunter's illicit business dealings. When Biden called in to Hunter's business dealings, that was not Biden involving himself in Hunter's illicit business dealings. I mean, that's the absurdity that McCarthy and Gates are calling out. We are going to analyze the utterly pathetic attempts by the lamestream media to desperately try to keep this sinking ship of Biden's presidency afloat. And we're going to see precisely why it's all blowing up in their face. You're going to absolutely love it. What if I told you there was a small group of investors who wildly outperformed the market? Well, there is, and you know exactly who they are. Corrupt politicians like Nancy Pelosi and establishment senators have been using their security clearances and exclusive knowledge to their advantage in the market for decades now. They know when sales are up. They know what earnings are going to be. They know about legislation, incoming Fed changes, you name it, a whole host of other inside baseball tips that gives them an unfair advantage when picking stocks. When these bigwigs make moves, odds are they know something. But thanks to a little-known SEC database, guess what? We can see what and when these people are buying. Not only do we get to see it in real time, but we get to piggyback on their trades to gain the same advantage for ourselves, perfectly legally and ethically. My friend Ross Givens has been tracking insider trading for years, and his recommendations have led to investment returns of over 200%. Some have hit as high as nearly 1,500%. And according to him, there's no better way to beat the market. Now it's your turn. Click on that link below right now and learn how you too can learn to trade like Pelosi. Click on that link and learn how to gain an insider advantage for yourself. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. We are all witnessing something absolutely extraordinary. We are witnessing the legacy media circle the wagons in a way that is absolutely unprecedented. Right now, as we speak, the left-wing activists disguised as journalists are doubling down on two fundamentally conflicting messages. I want you to remember these. Take out that pen and that gleaming sheet of white paper and write it down. The media is giving us two conflicting. If we were 35,000 feet, aerial view over the communicative lay of the land, we would hear overall two radically conflicting messages coming from the lamestream media. One, as I'm sure you're all now well aware, is that there is absolutely no evidence whatsoever for Biden having done anything wrong. None. Nada. Zippo. Biden is virtually the single most pristine thing to ever happen to the United States. He's almost as immaculate, spotless, and clean as the 2020 election itself. We, of course, all know that as far as the legacy media is concerned, nothing in all of history comes close to the honesty, the integrity, the impeccability of the 2020 election. But if something did approximate the unquestionable, unblemished integrity of that election, it would be one Joe Biden. So that's one of the meta messages that the legacy media is sending out there. There's no evidence whatsoever, none, that Joe Biden has ever done anything wrong in all his 80 plus years on this earth. And then there's one at the same time, a second message that is being unambiguously relayed throughout the various lamestream media outlets. It's got slightly different nuances, slightly different emphases, but it's very clear. The second message is simply, it's time for Joe to go. That's right. It's time for Joe to go. David Ignatius of the Washington Post. He is the mouthpiece of the deep state. He is saying it's time for Joe to go. Biden's moral impeccability will forever be enshrined in history if he would graciously and ceremoniously leave. If he would just simply bow out. Now, these are the two mutually exclusive messages that the legacy media is doubling down on as we speak. There is no evidence of any wrongdoing whatsoever, and it's time for Joe to go. It's time for Joe to go, and he did nothing wrong. Now, I want to unpack this for you. I want to unpack these mutually exclusive messages for you because you'll notice something rather fascinating at the outset. And this is something you absolutely have to get. When it comes to that second message, it's time for Joe to go, you'll notice that that entails a near unanimous sentiment. We, the American people, apparently are now all virtually agreed in this assessment that Joe's got to go. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat. It doesn't matter if it's Fox News or the Washington Post, liberal versus conservative, right versus left. It doesn't matter. Apparently, we now all agree on one thing. It's time for Biden to go. The disagreement is simply over the manner in which he should leave. The legacy media is doing everything they can to make sure that he leaves with some supposedly impeccable moral credentials intact, whereas the Republicans want him leaving with his tail between his legs in utter humiliation. That appears to be the only difference. We, the American people today, have officially arrived at a mass consensus. Despite the fact that there's supposedly no evidence of any wrongdoing whatsoever, despite that supposed fact, nevertheless, we all agree. A supermajority agrees it's time for Biden to bow out of the 2024 race. And the legacy media of all people are leading that charge. And yet, it's the very same legacy media that is at the same time telling us there is absolutely no evidence at all of any wrongdoing on Biden's part. He's got to go, and there's nothing wrong with him. So what on earth is going on here? I mean, obviously, something's getting lost in the translation here. I mean, let's be blunt. Trump, no matter where you come from, whether you support him or oppose him, Trump and the Republicans look absolutely sane in comparison with that conflicting messaging. It's no wonder the media is losing the circle the wagons effort. But what gives in all of this? What's really going on here?